fields of art. I'm a self-taught oil painter, and my main subject matter is jazz. I am the painter of jazz, is what I like to call myself, but I also do other genres as well, which is why I've entitled my business Fields of Art. I've been doing this full time now, 5 years. I was a former banker. I've always done artwork, and as I started doing more charity events, because I've always helped the community, I started seeing my pieces go for a pretty nice price. And then by doing that, I'm like, you know what, let's see if we can bring some of this money home. So I had a very successful first solo show in our arts district called the Short North. It went really well, and from that time, after I decided, let me take 1 year, see what I could do with this, it's turned out to be 5, and I haven't looked back yet. Although there were some moments when I thought, I don't know. So it is a tough gig, but it's what I love to do. The response has been great. I've learned to create my own venues, and that's part of what makes this a lot of fun, because there's no rules or regulations. You kind of just get in where you fit in, so to speak. So what I'm gonna do now is show you some of my work and let you kind of get a taste of what Fields of Art does. My first piece here is Duke Ellington. And what I mean by when I do the history of jazz, I like to do the people that created the America's only art form. And Duke Ellington, one of our greatest composers, is somebody that's real important to the history of jazz. And one of the reasons why I chose to do jazz is it's the American art form that you don't even get to hear on the radio. It's one of those things where it's created by our people, but without anybody playing it, without it being put out there, a lot of people are lost on, well, where did this music come from? And I just think if they were able to see the people and what they went through to create this music during a time when they couldn't even walk in the nightclub that had their name on the marquee, they had to go through the back door. They weren't allowed to stay at hotels that they performed at. I just think it's real important to get that message out and tell the stories of each individual. Now also, the process that I go through when I do my paintings is a pencil. This is a pencil I'm doing now, and Miles Davis. And I've been pretty successful with Miles. I've probably done about 100 paintings just in the jazz field, but I've also done some sports as well. Another one, and this is one that I'm currently working on for a show that I'm doing with the Columbus Jazz Orchestra. It's a Cotton Club tribute, and here's actually the man that took over for Duke Ellington at the Cotton Club. This is a pencil of Mr. Cab Calloway. You have a picture here that I did for Ballet Met. This is for an upcoming show, Sleeping Beauty. And I love doing people. I love the challenge of trying to capture it. I found that it's difficult doing women as well as these ballet dancers, because you want to make sure you capture that technique. You want to make sure that you want to have them looking like professionals that they are. And then finally, I have a painting of Jimi Hendrix, and this is from Woodstock. I entitled this one, Hey Joe. And what I also do by using what I call white and black technique is I want it to be about the person and the music. It's not about race. I've done, people of all races, Benny Goodman, Anita O'Day. It really doesn't matter. I've also done Hollywood people like Audrey Hepburn, Elizabeth Taylor, Coco Chanel. I mean, it's about the people and what they've done. And learning about the music really helps with the actual paintings, because the more you understand the music, the more you understand the people that I'm portraying, it kind of helps you put that into it. I did a painting of Charlie Parker, who most of the time was not even sober when he played, and I wanted to put that stress in his face. And it was amazing how so many people have identified that. And that's one of the best things about doing what I do, is the stories and just the emotions that I bring out of people. Because jazz, a lot of these cats had passed away a lot early in their times. I mean, their 30s, 40s, and some even in their 20s. And so there's still people that are around. And as I do shows with the Columbus Jazz Orchestra, one of the venues I created was talking to the people as they come into the theaters, like the Southern Theater, Lincoln Theater, and they have so many memories. And that's been part of the best thing, is hearing their stories about, oh yeah, I went to see Louis Armstrong when he played on our ship. And it's kind of surprising to realize, okay, there's people that were still around. I've had people tell me that my uncle played with Benny Goodman, and there's so many stories, and there's actually a couple that I'd like to share with you that were really good. There was one guy, and I wish you could see his face, he was talking about his mom, where he grew up. He lived right next door to Louis Armstrong. So Mrs. Armstrong came over and asked his mom, could she make a chocolate cake for Louis when he got back home for his birthday? So the guy, you know, he's a little kid, maybe 10, 11, 12 years old, and he was talking about his mom made the first cake. He didn't get to lick the bowl or the icing, none of that stuff. So he's like, okay, maybe this is for something else. You know, he ain't asking, he's just trying to figure it out. He says, mom makes another cake. He still didn't get to taste nothing, didn't touch nothing. And then his mom actually made 3 cakes. And he was like, okay, mom, really? I can't taste the cake, have some cake, something. She's like, no, this is for Mr. Armstrong. Once he picks the cake, I'll let you go to town. So it was just funny hearing that story about it. And then the one last story is, I was doing a show out at the Columbus Zoo, and a gentleman from France was talking about how Duke Ellington came to town, small club, and he said it was freezing. And he said it was so cold you could see your breath. But he's saying, I'm not leaving because this may be the last time I get to see Duke Ellington. And he said everybody was still in there, still a packed house, and they had their coats on. And the part that was so great was, he said by the 3rd number, people had their coats off, Duke's band took off their jackets, and they were up having a great time. And he said, I'm sure that the heat didn't kick on, it was just that everybody was enjoying the show, and that energy just made it comfortable for everybody. So those are some of the wonderful things that I get out of being able to share this story and create more emotions, and hope to have more to come. I just had a painting go to Nancy Wilson, who's actually from Columbus, Ohio. And I didn't get to present it to her in person, but she did call, which I thought was really wonderful, and thanked me for the painting. And she was just so nice and sweet. And the best part about it, she wanted to actually know about me. And what was funny, she asked me, why would you paint me? And I'm thinking, because you're a historic Grammy Award winning singer. So that was another one. I got to present a painting to Mr. George Benson when I did the Indianapolis Jazz Festival, and that was really cool because I was supposed to meet him after the show. I had his painting up in my tent, but George actually did a really nice thing. He came out and mingled with the crowd, and I guess so many people are telling him about the painting that he said, go get him. So this guy runs up, Mike, Mr. Benson wants to meet you, grab the painting. So I grabbed the painting, I ran up to him, and you know, he took pictures with me, and it was funny because they were announcing him to come on stage, 10-time Grammy winner George Benson, and that was really good. I presented paintings to Wycliffe Gordon, educator, trombonist, who travels and does shows at Lincoln Theater, and he does shows in New York. Kevin Eubanks. There's been many, many stars that I've had the privilege of meeting and presenting paintings to. So that's another part that, you know, through the gift and blessing that I've received, that I've been able to share my talents with other people with their talents. One of the things that I do, because this is it's a craft, I do study. I go back as far as some of the idols are like Vincent van Gogh. I like George Bellows, who's from Columbus. I talk to all current artists like Talib Amazi, who gave me my first solo show in the Short North. And so I've been blessed to find that, you know, a lot of the older artists have helped me a great deal. And I'm even finding artists, you know, from other cities and out of state are being willing to help, which is how I'm able to do the Newport Jazz Festival this year. Another artist who paints jazz, you know, just was knocked out by my work, and he was able to get me into the festival before they even start taking, you know, applications for it. So that was a really big deal because that is one of the most prestigious jazz festivals in the world. You know, the funny thing, I volunteer here at the Homeport Gallery, and I get younger, older people just trying to figure it out. They come in and they talk to me, and one of the most important things is the business of art. It's not just you get to paint and draw and do whatever you do all day. You actually have to understand the business of art. And that's one of the things I try to stress, because it's just like working for someone else. You have to work for yourself. I mean, I'll start at 6 in the morning, I'll go to 5 o'clock unless I'm still working on something. And I just found that it's important that you put all your energy into the business part. It's kind of like what they call show business. You know, it's great when you're showing the paintings and you're doing the show and you're meeting celebrities, but to get to that point, there's a lot of work. I mean, I do research on all the people that I paint, because even when I did a festival like the Detroit International Jazz Festival, those are jazz connoisseurs. So you can't just have a painting of, let's say, Jimmy Smith and not know that he plays the Hammond B3. I mean, you better know the people that you do, because that adds to the enjoyment for the people not only buying your work, but the people that are viewing it, because now they can get a little better understanding. So another part of like what I'm trying to do to help get my work out there, I'm getting into merchandising, like this shirt that I have on with Josephine Baker. I'm doing candles, all kinds of merchandise to make sure that the story of jazz, because there's a lot of fans, and I was quite surprised to know that there isn't any merchandise that actually highlights the people that created America's only art form. I find it really important to tell these stories. I like the fact that my work has also helped many charities, and it's nice to know that you're leaving something behind, you're able to help people, and as I go forward, it'll be something that I continue to do for the rest of my days.